Okay, so we're starting on proofs, and you will see several weird things here in this chapter for the rest of the time, and you're going to think we're not doing math and we're not doing something, but it is math, and this is the steps leading up to doing a full proof. So, you have on page 13 a little blank for you to fill in all this in on your notes, and this is what I want you to take a picture of when the time comes. So stop the video, pause it right here, and write all this down. Every little part. Some of these are like two names. There's an alternate interior and exterior, so they're basically the same thing. You need all this written in because these are not just one word. These are the whole rule that you have to write. Now, when the time comes, we can abbreviate them, but for right now, we're going to write the whole thing out in that box. So make room for that. Stop the video and write them down. Okay, so our first one, and they're going to seem like really simple problems, and they are simple, but the fact is you're not just looking for answer B. This would be the first step. Remember how we were doing conditional statements? And the second step would be to figure out B, of course. So if angle A is 40, we know angle B is going to be 40. And you've already done those, so those are pretty simple. But that's not really the proof of it. That's the statement of what you did. Why did you say that this was 40? This is what we want to know is why. So, of course, you just wrote all those steps down. Which of those steps would have been? The reason is vertical angles are congruent. So to fill this in on your notes, yes, still fill it in, you can write vert, angle, congruent, and you can abbreviate it like that. And even the ACT will do something like that, a little abbreviation, if they're doing any proof problems for you. Okay, so that's what the final answer is the reason why. Alrighty. Then we've got another one here. And originally I'm telling you that C is 40. So I'm not asking for D just yet. I'm asking you to complete this statement. 40 plus D. So if I put 40 and D together, then what should that total make up here? 180. So that's the thing. Now what's the reason why we said 180? What made those two add up to 180? There's two different names it could be, and you could put supplementary or linear pair. Either one would work in this case. Now, if the word supplementary is mentioned, you're going to use supplementary. If they use linear pair, you're going to use that. But you can write the abbreviation for that. DEF, D-E-F, my E's kind of goofy, supplementary. Or you can just write DEF sub, like that. So that's fine for your abbreviation. But just know that that's what you're putting in is that reason behind it, or DEF of linear pair. All right, next, F is the midpoint of EG. Remember, what are we supposed to mark? Don't forget. Just saying it's the midpoint doesn't mean you get a big old dot. It means EF now matches what? FG. So that's the rest of that statement. FG is there. What's the reason of why we did it? What made us mark that other piece equal to EF? Why did we put the hash marks? Because of the word midpoint. When you saw midpoint, you knew that's what it meant, was to split it in half. And so you just write definition of midpoint. Don't worry about the arrow, that's not it. All right, so when you see these key words, it's usually, when you see one of these definitions that we've been doing all year, on one of these vocabulary words, it's going to be definition of that word most of the time. Okay? All right, this is where the arrow was. All right, so if xi bisects hxj, that means this whole thing's been bisected. What does that mean? What does bisect mean anyway? It means it's cut into two equal pieces. So I get the angle matching here and here. HXI, that's this one, HXI, would match IXJ. Why do we say they're matching? Why are they congruent to each other? So, what did we just use? What told us they were matching? the word bisect. So definition of bisector or definition of bisects, however you want to write it. Okay. Alright, then a couple more. Now, yeah, you need to remember your symbols. So R is, what is that symbol of? Perpendicular, yep. What does it mean? 90 degrees. K would be 90. The one beside a K would be 90. And 90. Why did we make K 90? What just told us to do it. What does this mean? Perpendicular means they're going to be 90 degrees. So that's the definition of perpendicular. So you're just saying, why did I do it? You said you did it because it was perpendicular. All right, then you get into ones that are more of a rule kind of thing and not just a definition. The measure of angle M is 100. Okay, what else do we already know on here? The parallels. So that's not just something you skip past. The parallels are there. So now, angle N is going to match it and be 100. What kind of angles were they? What made them match? They were special kind of angles. And so you put corresponding angles are congruent when the lines are parallel. You can abbreviate it, so don't freak out. So you write core angles congruent when parallel. How about that? So that's not as bad as having to write it all out. Alright, so you had to know your type of angles, and it's not just definition, it's a rule, so you got to write all that out. You can't just write definition of corresponding. Because I could have them corresponding like this, and if I don't know these are parallel, that doesn't make these match unless they're parallel. They had to be parallel. Think back to when we did this first couple days ago. So, let's see who's really been paying attention. You've got PSQ is 20. PSQ, that's right up in there. 20 degrees. And then PSR, now be careful. PSR, that's the whole thing, is 80. And so I know you're thinking 60, but that's not what the next sentence says. The next sentence is for you to think about what's going on. 20 plus whatever's in RSQ right in here, X, we'll say that's like the X, equals 80. So it's not find X. Find X is not the next step. They're saying find this, set it up so you can find the angle. So what have they done? They said angle plus another angle equals the big angle. Sound familiar? Angle addition postulate. So it's not just finding the answers like a number, it's the reason why you did it. Why could you take this crazy drawing and make it into a math equation? Because that's math right there, right? That's the algebra. So coming up with that is a step called the angle addition postulate. Then after that, you'd have some algebra steps, but that's not what they asked you on this one thing. All right, so we're going to practice a little bit. Get ready. If you're on Zoom, I want